Hey everybody, Brian Boyle here with the RunPainless.com, The Mesh Tongue, episode 32. And hey, this is a new month. We're into February now, so this is pretty exciting. The year is just flying by, and January was a heck of a snow month here. So hopefully, where you're at, you were able to get some decent training in. We had some really cold, and we still have some really ridiculously cold temperatures here in Salt Lake. I don't know where you're at, but I'm imagining that if you're in the north somewhere, that you're probably participating in the same. Maybe you don't have as much snow as we do. We've had a heck of a snow year, but boy, oh boy, it's been a fun one. So, hey, episode 32. I want to talk about the aging runner, and when I'm talking about the aging runner, I'm probably talking more like 40 and above. I hit 41 myself in December, and you start feeling things change, and you go, You always hear people say, "Well, when you hit 40, it's all downhill." I don't think it's all downhill. I think I'm seeing improvements in areas that I have personally wanted to improve upon. So I don't feel like it's all downhill after the age of 40. But with that being said, typically about half of us runners will have an injury in any given year. That's part of the reason why the video is to try and help you prevent that. What happens after the age of 40, though, is that we start to see a difference in the compliance of the tissues. Okay, and what that means is that the tissues become more stiff. Now, the tendons, collagen, the ligaments, so the connective tissue, the collagen, all of these things become stiffer. And so what that means is that they're not compliant enough. And so if we're normally having this shock absorption effect, okay, typically as we're younger and running, we don't have this the same as we're getting older. Now, is this an issue that you'd say, well, because of the stiffness, because of the changes physiologically, are the risks too great? We're not seeing that. We're thinking that so far the research and everything that we've seen, you probably have only about 5% of your runners that are age 60 and above. So it's really hard to gauge when you're looking at the research, or you're looking at kind of the demographic of that population. With this a pretty small minority of the runners out there, but we're looking at that the health aspects far outweigh the risks. Okay, for an example, the calcaneus, the fat pad, so the nice cushy pad that helps you when you're walking to keep the heel from hitting on the ground, that becomes less. Okay, so we get a decrease in the thickness of that fat pad as we go. Now, one of the things that you'd say, okay, well, this can attenuate the shock absorption or decrease it, so you are at a higher risk for potential stress fractures if you're trying to log in more miles. But the converse of that is that the pain, not the pain, the pounding or the pressure is going to increase bone density. Okay, so you say, all right, well, where's that happy medium? And that comes back to that sweet spot that I talked to you about a couple episodes ago. You're going to have to find your sweet spot. You're going to have to find out where you're at, where, as we're aging, whether or not you can tolerate that much. But that's the kind of things that we're dealing with, between the too much, even though you've got a decreased fat pad, and the just enough to actually increase bone density. And you go, well, bone density is good. As we age, we know that our bone density usually will diminish. It'll start to fall off and kind of go away. That's why you really need to hit supplements like calcium and vitamin D. Recommendation for calcium is about 1,000 milligrams, and vitamin D is about 1,200, and it goes off of units. Okay, with vitamin D, and that's probably for everybody. But runners, if you'd like to continue on and you want to reduce the diminishing osteopenia or the thinning of the bone, even osteoporosis, you're best to get your calcium and your vitamin D. So just some help there. As we think about this, and we say, the changes that you might see beyond the heel, you may see kind of this inward bowing of the knee, or what we'd call this varus thrust. So you may see some changes there, possibly up at the hip as well. If you're over the age of 40, generally speaking, you want to make sure that you're stretching daily. So there's this consistency because you're stiffening up the joints already, the tissues are already stiffening up. The key with stretching is consistency. Okay, we've already talked about in that previous episodes also. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're stretching consistently. That's daily, if not multiple times a day. It doesn't matter whether it's before, during, or after your run, but make sure that you are getting those stretches in. That will go a long way also to change those the stiffness in the tissues. So for all my older runners out there, what are some of the things that you have found that have worked great for you? Is it stretching? Is it is it massage? Are you working on strengthening? You name it. What is working for you? I'd love to hear. Leave your comments below that let others know what you're working on and how you're working and what's working for you. Obviously everyone's different, but it's always good to compare and see where people are at. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the questions. Keep those coming in. This is episode 32 of The Mesh Tongue. I'm Brian Boyle. Check out runpainless.com. And as always, as you please share this with your training partners and friends and family. Just don't go hurting yourself to come back and check this thing out. I appreciate it. As always, have a great day.